Like me, you're probably crouching in front of your computer right now, because no chair crafted by mortal hands can withstand the onslaught of your manhood unless you shimmy up slowly and buffer yourself with a lot of styrofoam packing peanuts. Luckily, the Large Penis Support Group exists so the Dontastically Blessed can have a place to share experiences and learn new ways to deal with their crippling, knee-bruising disability. The topics there detail things like what undies work best to tame the beast without choking it into unconsciousness, and what to do if your scrotum doesn't hang low enough. Low enough for what? The world may never know. But here at the Large Penis Support Group, lpsg.org, we're here for you to find out. Do you have problems riding public transit? Swimming? Being around small children? Do women only want you for your penis? We're here for you. lpsg.org. This half hour of the Loserville podcast is brought to you by the lpsg.org. Thank you, Large Penis Support Group.
I love this song.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
MGMT, Kids.
Oh, yeah. So, before the break, we were talking that about some NFL stuff coming up.
Yeah.
That some Adrian Peterson speculation. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about that, so I'm going to let you go for a little bit and wax poetic about our least favorite running back.
Well, you know, I just heard something on the radio the other day that I really agreed with, that I've been kind of thinking for a while, but it really got put into good words. You know, for me, if Adrian Peterson wants to sit out and just be a baby about this whole thing, I think we should just let him. I mean, we have people. It's fun. People say that the Vikings have no leverage right now. We have all the leverage. He's under contract. What is he gonna do? He doesn't have a choice. He either gets to play for us or he doesn't get to play at all. That should be the attitude in my mind. If we can't find an adequate trade, which I think has to include at least one first-round pick, then I say we just let him sit.
Well, and normally I would agree with you, but here's the thing. He may not have financial leverage. The Vikings definitely have that. What he does have is himself. He is an asset. So if he doesn't play, it ruins him as a trade candidate because no one knows what he has left. He's an over 30 running back who has sat out 2 of the last 3 years. We really don't know what he has.
Well, to me, that's fine anyway, because if you can get a first-round pick for him and then some, go ahead and trade him. I'd be fine with that. But if you can't, let's say you can only get a second-round pick at best, and a lot of people are saying you might only get a third or even a fourth-rounder. For me, if it gets to that point, that's not worth trading him.
I agree.
I would say sit him down, and you can give him one. You can basically just tell him he has one of 2 options. He can either sit, and he can be fined for not showing up to organize team activities, be fined for not showing up to training camp. He'll be put on the. You can put him on the PUP, or you could put him on a did not show up or whatever list, and he'll get fined. Right. Well, he
loses a bunch of money if he doesn't come to training camp. He gets fined quite a bit.
So for me, it would be like give him that, or say you can either sit out another year, or you can man up and just play football with the Minnesota Vikings. Those are your 2 options. You're not getting traded. You're not getting released. The only other option besides that would be to retire. And then even if he retired, his rights would still be owned for another 3 years by the Vikings. So it's not like he could just retire and then come back right away and be a free agent. That's not how it would work.
Well, the thing for me is if I'm the Vikings, this is how I sell this. Adrian Peterson, you have no trade value right now. There is a lot of stuff stacked against you. We need to get something for you. And he's got to understand that this is a business. We're willing to trade you, but here's what we need to do. Come back and play. Work hard, show that you have something, and we'll trade you before the trade deadline to a contender.
Yeah.
Because we know halfway through the year someone's going to lose a running back. Someone's going to need a running back that's in contention, and we're going to be able to trade him.
On the other hand, if he plays well and the Vikings all of a sudden are in playoff contention, they're not just going to trade him away.
Absolutely not. But if he's playing and we're doing well, he likely won't want to be traded.
I don't know.
Winning fixes a lot. It really does. And to not win many games last year again, and for him to not have played. Let's go back and look at that first game against St. Louis, right? Cordero Patterson is a great balanced game. He does really, really well. Matt Castle looks good. Even the offensive line looks pretty good. That's the Adrian Peterson effect, right? He may be a 30-year-old running back, but he's still Adrian Peterson. He's got something left in the tank, and we know he does.
Well, and if he's proved nothing else in his time here, he's proved that he's just an absolute physical freak of nature.
And I agree, but I can't deny the statistics that over 30 something slows down, and these guys don't heal quite as quickly as they used to. It's just a fact. So I have to keep Adrian Peterson in the fact that he's human, and we need to acknowledge that. And that's why his trade value diminishes. That's why we would only get a second-round pick right now if we trade him. If we hold on to him and we let him prove that he has value, he can go to a contender, get exactly what he wants, and get traded, and the Vikings can get something back in return. I think that that's the best-case scenario, and that's probably what they're holding out for, to be completely honest with you.
What would you be willing to trade him for?
I want a first-round pick. Right. I don't want anything less than a first-round pick. Anything less than that's going to be a deal breaker for me. Even if I could get a high second, like if Tampa Bay wanted him and they wanted to trade us their first pick in the second round, I'd be open to that because that's basically a first-round pick, basically. Or I want an elite player.
Yeah.
If he goes to Arizona, it's not going to happen. But just as an example, Patrick Peterson would be somebody that I would consider. He's getting a little bit older, but he's still a great corner. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't think that it's going to happen preseason. I think that if Adrian Peterson gets traded, it'll be it will be the only way it's preseason if it's on draft day, or it's going to happen in midseason trade when he comes back and plays and rebuilds that trade value and proves that he still has something. That's the only way we're going to get what we want from him. Otherwise, he's going to sit out, and he's going to ruin his chances of playing in the NFL. You can't go 2 years sitting as a running back over 30 and come back and play.
Yeah, see, and that's why I say I'd just give him the ultimatum. And maybe the Vikings already have, I don't know. But if it was me, that's what I would say. I would give him that ultimatum.
Right.
And say either you play for us or you don't play at all.
Right.
Because I think what Adrian Peterson wants most, I think, is just to play football.
I agree.
I think if you put that ultimatum in front of him, and if he realizes he's not going to be traded because the Vikings aren't going to take what's being offered, I think eventually he would break. I think in that game of chicken he would lose. I think he would come back and play for the Vikings.
Of course, the wild card here is Ben Dogra, his agent.
Right.
The guy's been kind of a, pardon the pun, but he's been a wild dog in this.
Yeah.
He's foaming at the mouth. He's
been a Richard the whole time.
He really has. He's trying to play that hardball card when he's trying to make it seem like the Adrian Peterson camp has more leverage than it does. And if Adrian Peterson sits out, he loses that leverage because then he won't be able to play. Adrian Peterson is by far his biggest contract. I don't know if you heard this or not, but the other people that were in his camp, in his stable of players, Patrick Willis was there, and basically his team looked like it was an all-star team from 2007. That's what it looked like. He picked up a bunch of rookies that year. The only one that he's holding on to is Adrian Peterson. So if this is a money play, he's not going to win that fight. Now you can't ask for a trade and ask for money at the same time. No one's going to pay Adrian Peterson what the Vikings are paying him.
Well, it would make sense to ask for a trade because any trade would probably likely have to result in a contract renegotiation, which he would get a percent of.
That's true, but he would lose money in the long run going somewhere else. Because if he's getting a percentage of that income you're going to have less money coming in if Adrian Peterson's getting paid less. So I'm not saying that there's not logic in the trade.
I think it depends on what you negotiate down to, because I think he gets a larger percentage of new contracts than he does of overall salary of an existing one.
But if I'm the Vikings and I really want to keep him, I keep the numbers the same. The hard numbers, I up the guaranteed amount in his contract if I want to keep him. I make sure that he knows that we're committed to him for the rest of his career, and that's how you sell Adrian Peterson and coming back to the Vikings. Because your money talks, especially with a guy like Adrian Peterson when he's got to talk. So, I mean, if he's looking for more money, you guarantee more money. But you've got to make sure that the caveats there that he's got to come back and play.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough for Adrian Peterson speculation. It's a worn-out topic this year.
I'm already tired.
Vikings signed a mountain.
Yeah.
6'9", 351 pounds.
I'm not even going to try to pronounce
I'm not going to either. He's the Polish guy, the left tackle. A lot of people thinking he's going to give Khalil or Lowenhold a run for their money. I don't see it. The guy's too slow. European players very rarely do much in the NFL. NBA's a little bit different. They've had basketball over there for a long time. NHL, obviously, they have quite a bit of European talent that comes over. But in the NFL, American football is just not popular enough in Europe to produce a ton of talent.
You know what's funny, though? I did watch some highlight videos of him. His highlight videos literally look like a truck hitting one of those human dummies they use for crash tests.
You mean that's him running into somebody?
Yeah, he just throws people out of the way.
That's unbelievable.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think the speed. I don't know. I mean, he's huge.
No, I agree.
How do you move that around?
If he gets his hands on them, they're done. But if you load him up against a guy like Everson Griffin or even an outside linebacker like a Clay Matthews coming out, there's no chance. They're too fast.
Yeah, I think he'd probably be one of those guys who get a lot of holding penalties.
Yeah,
because he'd be just fast enough to get one of his dick beaters on you, and as soon as he did that, as soon as he grabbed your jersey, you're going down with him. Like he's going to take you with. So I think he'd probably get a lot of holding penalties.
I don't know that he'll make it through training camp. I really don't. It's an interesting signing. It's something to talk about. It's a slow news week for the NFL.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to think about a 6'9", 350-pound tackle in the Minnesota Vikings.
If nothing else, it'll be fun to watch.
No, I agree. It will be fun, but I see it more as like a Brock Lesnar situation where the guy might be a freak, but he's just not a football player that can play in the NFL.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe he'll surprise us all.
Vikings signed Terrence Newman, the 37-year-old ancient cornerback from Cincinnati and Dallas, a Zimmer lifetime guy. I don't know about this. I know it's a depth signing, but I don't know. Something just doesn't sit well with me about this.
Well, he's a Zimmer guy, dude. He's addicted to Zimmerall. He needs more Zimmerall. He's running low.
I don't like these signings, man. Why can't we go out and get somebody that freaking matters? I understand it. We have cornerback coaches for a reason. Why do we need mentors like this? It doesn't make sense. The guy's been a mediocre corner as long as I've watched the NFL. He's never been a great cornerback in the NFL. Why are we bringing him in? It makes no sense to me. You want a good corner? Trade for a corner. Trade for somebody. Make a play at a free agent that freaking matters. I'm so sick of the Vikings throwing money at these ancient guys that if they go out on the field, they get hit, they're going to turn to dust. It doesn't matter anymore. These guys are awful. We saw it with Donovan McNabb. We saw it with the end of Brett Favre's career. Every guy that the Vikings sign in free agency seems to be some ancient character that doesn't matter, with the exception of this mountain guy that looks super, super slow. I don't understand it. I don't get it. What sense does it make?
Yeah.
What is Rick Spielman thinking with this? And I know he's a Zimmer guy. I'm okay with the fact that he's a Zimmer guy. But find a younger Zimmer guy. You've got to play harder for the guys like Michael Johnson. The guys that matter, the guys that can make a difference. And now I know Michael Johnson doesn't want to come here because of playing time. I know it's not a money issue. But you've got to find a way to make that work. The guy is a talented defensive end. You've got to make that work. Instead, we're signing guys like Taylor Mays and Casey Matthews. There's underperforming, under-talented, or overaged over-the-hill guys. There's two sides of the spectrum. The Vikings are never in the middle. We never find the sweet spot. It never, ever works for us.
To be honest, I'm glad we didn't go and make a huge play for a guy like Byron Maxwell from Seattle. I really didn't trust him, and I think he got paid way too much. So in that sense, I'm glad that we didn't go out and make some sort of move like that just for the sake of making a move. That being said, it wouldn't hurt to add more on defense. I think, Zimmer's kind of had that reputation of a guy who can take, no-name guys and make them into quality defensive players. So we'll see.
Yeah, you know what I want to do right now? I want to open this up for a little bit of debate. Tweet me at Mr. Ryan Nelson 3. That's Mr. Ryan Nelson 3, or at Nate Bauer with your questions or comments. If you're listening, I know there's probably not a ton of you right now, but tweet at us. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll go over that a little bit. Email me or Nate, and we'll get over that just a little bit. We can't take calls yet. We're working toward that, but I want to open this up just a little bit. We'll move on to some.
Brody should tweet us.
Brody should tweet us. He absolutely should. Anybody else that's listening too. We got a little bit of draft talk now.
Yes.
We talk so much football. And it's not that I'm sick of it. It's just we talk so much football. And it's
draft? Yeah, draft.
Yeah, draft.
Oh, we should do a mock.
We should do a mock? Mm-hmm. Jameis Winston's going first.
Okay, let's do a mock. You want odd numbers?
Yeah.
And I'll do even?
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's do we'll each do our like Vikings pick, because it's an odd number, but we'll each do.
All right, hold on. I gotta close the porn on my tablet. No. All right.
I don't even know the draft order. I gotta look it up here.
Yeah, hold on here.
I know Tampa picks first. Tampa, Tennessee, Jacksonville. All right, so I have Tennessee. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, hold on. Your internet's super slow here, so I hope you're filling with us with music, because this is going to make for terrible broadcast.
I can fill it with music. Hold on, I'll put on a song here.
All right, you put on a song. So what? I've got first, third, fifth, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I'll take odds,
numbers.
You take evens. All right. What's an odd number? What's an odd number?
Odd number what?
What are odd numbers? All right. So first,
Ready now?
yeah, I'm ready. I guess we'll run through this. We're just gonna do the first round. Just a first round mock.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got Tampa Bay taking Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston.
Okay, why?
They need a quarterback, frankly. They've got some talent on the field. They don't have a ton, but you got to start somewhere, and quarterback's going to take the longest time to develop.
Yeah, I don't see Mike Glennon being the guy there, and I think Jameis Winston, despite the off-field issues, is probably just too good to pass up. So I would say, I would agree with you. All right, number 2, Tennessee Titans. I have them taking Leonard Williams, defensive tackle / defensive end from USC. I think he's the best overall player in the draft, and
really,
Mariota is a possibility here, but I just think they have Mettenberger, who they drafted last year, and he showed signs of being someone who could be a solid starter in the NFL. So I think they're going to go best available here, and I think Leonard Williams is that guy. I think he's just he's a guy who completely changes the middle of your defense. I mean, he's a shutdown. He's a run shutdown guy. He'll clog up the lanes right in the middle there. And Tennessee was, they were an okay defense last year. But this is a guy who I think really could help him out in terms of run stopping, run defense, and in pass rush as well. He can get after the quarterback. So for me, it's Leonard Williams. 3, Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Rams?
Jacksonville Jaguars. Rams are 10.
I thought they traded up.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Yep. Jaguars are 3.
Hold on here.
Put more music on.
Oh, that's why. The draft order I was looking at, the guy was projecting Rams to trade up. Yeah, Jacksonville's a tough one. I've said it before. I will say it again. I really think they need some help on the offensive line. They could go offense, they could go defense, but they need help on both lines.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be the crux of the issue for them. So, just at first glance, I'm going to go with Dante Fowler from Florida. I think they're going to go defense first. And again, I'm not.
What do you like about Fowler?
I like Fowler's speed a lot. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great outside rusher.
He's got versatility too.
Yeah, he does. He could stand up. He could be in a stance. He could really do anything. But I do worry about his durability in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up for a long period of time. And they'll probably need to rotate him in. Florida guys typically on defense have not been great, with the exception of a very few guys that come in. Usually defensive backs from Florida are better, but defensive line guys from Florida usually have some durability issues. We see that with Sharif Floyd with the Vikings, that for whatever reason they don't hold up for a whole season. Yeah. And maybe I'm generalizing a little bit too much, but I really don't think that Florida guys hold up very well. So that's what I've got for Jacksonville, again, with some reservations. They could go defensive line on that, or offensive line on that, but I think they'll go with Dante Fowler.
Okay. Number 4, the Oakland Raiders. I have the Oakland Raiders taking Kevin White. Wide receiver, West Virginia.
Okay. They do like the speed guys. That's for sure.
I just think I think Kevin White is definitely leapfrogged Amari Cooper as the best wide receiver in the draft.
Did you hear him talking crap to Amari Cooper?
I did not.
He was saying that I bring more to the table than Amari Cooper. He was quoted as saying that this week.
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily talking crap. I think that's just...
Well,
I think that's a good attitude to have. I think you should,
agree.
If you're a draft pick, you should have that attitude. You should think that you're the best.
Yeah.
You should be humble, but you should think that you are better than everybody.
Yeah.
At least at your position. But yeah, Oakland. I think Carr. I think they found a good one in Derek Carr. I think he's going to be the quarterback of the future there in Oakland. Finally.
Okay.
But he needs weapons. He needs.
I agree.
He needs help. They could go offensive line here. They could go defensive. I think offensive line would be a little high if they wanted to take Scherf from Iowa. But they could go defensive. They could take Vic Beasley. If Dante Fowler's still on the board, they could take Dante Fowler. Danny Shelton's another possibility, but I think that'd be a reach too. I just think overall, Kevin White is the best player on the board at this point, and the best player they could take at this point. So, for me, it's Kevin White from West Virginia. Big frame, 6'3", 209. Fast, 4.4 40 timed. Good hands, good route running, good anticipation. I think he could be a guy who could electrify really the Oakland offense along with Carr if he comes back and has another good year.
Sure.
So for me, it's Carr it's Kevin White at number 4, Oakland Raiders. Moving on, you have number 5. It's the Washington
Redskins. I've got them taking Shane Ray from Missouri.
Okay.
A lot of mock drafts that I've seen have them taking Vic Beasley. I don't think Vic Beasley's as good as everybody says he is. I think he's had a couple of good workouts, but I see him being more like a Vernon Gholston type, where he's great in workouts, but he's not great on the field. Shane Ray is great on the field. He's absolutely great on the field. We saw it in most games this year, and in his bowl game appearance against the Minnesota Golden Gophers this year. But I have them taking Shane Ray. I think he's a very versatile guy. Again, real speedy. Some good strength, too, especially some good force coming off the line.
Yeah, he's like 240.
Yeah,
He's a pretty good size kid.
He could be a game changer on the pass rush, which Washington desperately needs, to be completely honest. Playing in a division with great offensive lines like Dallas and an improved Philadelphia offensive line, it could be bad for the Washington defense if they don't pick up a speed rusher like Shane Ray.
Yeah, the thing I like about Shane Ray too, just to really recap that real quick, he's a guy who can play outside linebacker in the 3-4, but I think he could also be a guy with his hand down in a 4-3. So I like his versatility as well. I think there's a lot of very versatile defensive linemen, linebacker types in this draft with Vic Beasley and Fowler being another.
It's a real deep defensive draft this year.
Yeah,
And I think that Shane Ray is going to be a game changer, especially in a system like Washington's. But moving on to number 6, the New York Jets.
Number 6, New York Jets.
Jets, Jets.
Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
The New York Jets select the number 6 overall pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, Marcus Mariota.
No way.
Quarterback, Oregon.
Oh, man. Yes!
Yeah, I think that this is where the waiting ends for Mr. Mariota. I think he's, you look at the Jets had basically everybody who's ever worked for their entire organization at Mariota's pro day. I think they have huge interest in him, and why shouldn't they? I mean, they have no quarterback right now.
Sure.
Geno Smith is not good. I'm sorry. I mean, he's just.
Well, no one's saying he is.
No,
that's for sure.
He's brutal. He really is, and I mean. They could go Vic Beasley here. They could go Scherf here. I just think, for me, they really need help at that. I mean, you got to have a quarterback to be able to win games, and obviously they have a good defense. I think Rex Ryan coming in is gonna, or Rex Ryan going out is gonna help. I think they needed fresh life in there, and they have the defense that can be a top 10 defense in the league. I really believe that.
Sure.
So for me, they need a leader though on offense.
Yep.
I think Mariota is that guy. I don't agree with a lot of the knocks on him that he's not going to be a good pro quarterback simply because he didn't play in a pro style offense at Oregon.
He reminds me, just the way he plays, he reminds me a little bit of Teddy Bridgewater. Just because he does such a great job of reading defenses and picking them apart with shorter routes and then going over the top.
Well, he does have he's a very cerebral player.
And that's what you want with a guy. You can't teach intelligence. You can teach a system to anybody, but we see, especially with a guy like Geno Smith, we see it where he's extremely physically gifted, but he's not a great cerebral quarterback.
Yeah.
You can make up for a lot of physical shortcomings with good cerebral play.
And the thing I like about Mariota is he has the best of both worlds, really. He's got incredible physical skill. He's big, 6'4".
Yep.
But he also has that, he has that cerebral aspect to him where he's really a student of the game. And I think, it's going to take some time for him to adjust. I wouldn't start him right away if I was New York.
I agree.
I would, let him develop and practice for a little while. Let him get a good taste in preseason, but I wouldn't start him right away.
Right, and I
Jets
think
are not going to be a playoff team anyway, in my mind. So I wouldn't rush him in. But I think he's one of those guys he's very cerebral. He's very good at breaking down defenses. He's gonna have to get better. He's gonna have to get even faster at breaking them down in the NFL. I mean, they're gonna be. It's always a jump for a quarterback in that sense. But he's also gonna have to get better at. Throwing the ball into tight quarters and being able to read and see a play develop before it happens and know where the ball's going to need to go. Because in Oregon, a lot of his passes, and this is not his fault. I mean, Oregon's just that good. But in Oregon, a lot of the passes that he threw were to wide open receivers because they would just, they're so offensively talented and so well coached that there'd be wide open receivers all the time, and he'd pass. They'd have short routes he'd pass to. But for me, just looking at the Jets, they need quarterback. They need an offensive leader, and Oregon is Oregon. We have 20 seconds left. Oregon is that guy. So when we come back, we're gonna have number 7. Ryan will tell us what he thinks the Chicago Bears are gonna do. That'll be posted on Twitter when we are back on the Loserville Show.